I thought I'd gone.
Okay, it's 6:30, so I'm going to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. I have myself, Kathy Payne, Kathy Dunn, are the three members of that committee, and we are here to discuss Assignment 25-081, resolution regarding property tax issues. I sent an information sheet out to council. Basically, so I'll just read through it. The average increase in residential property valuations in Chiillicothe is approximately 29%. The increase in property tax values being completed by the county auditor as mandated by the state. This increase will take effect on 2025 tax valuations, which are payable in 2026. To reduce this increase for the citizens of Chiillicothe and to decrease their tax burden, the Chiillicothe City Council is considering a reduction in the millage. To realize an increase that keeps up with the annual cost of providing services, police, fire, street maintenance, etc., while reducing the city's portion of the increase to a reasonable level. Based on 2024 valuations, the city of Chiillicothe was projected to receive $1,722,925 based on 3.2 mills, which is broken out 2.6 mills in general fund and 0.3 in police and fire pensions each. The tentative 2025 valuations are projected to bring in an additional $499,648.81 for a total valuation amount of $2,222,573.25. Reducing the millage by 15% from 3.2 mills to 2.72 mills, which would be 2.21 in general fund, 0.25 in police pension, and 0.255 in fire pension, results in a decrease of approximately 67% of that increase. This would reduce tax burden on taxpayers by approximately $333,386 next year. and it would still add approximately $166,262 to the city budget, which allows the city to keep pace with the cost of providing critical services to our residents. This amounts to a 9.6% increase over the last 3 years, or an average increase of 3.2% year over year. If we do that, I would also recommend that we review these amounts annually, so that we can responsibly meet the ongoing needs of providing our critical services while mitigating the impact of these increases on our residents. So I will open it up for discussion.
I'd like to start first by asking how these figures were done. Did you have help with this, or did you do this on your own, or where did you get the information to come up with all these figures and your recommendation on it? I mean, it doesn't have anybody's. Did you go to the county auditor to get some of these figures? Did you go to the city auditor? I'm just curious where the figures came from.
The packet that Crystal sent out last week had all the base documents that support these numbers. The increases are based on the information received from the county auditor, which Crystal went through as well. So these are numbers that came from the county auditor, and our city auditor has reviewed. Yes.
Okay, I just was curious where they came from. I had another question too. I'm not sure about the authority to do it at this time until there's actually a bill passed, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. There's House Bill 186 and there's House Bill 335 that are pending, that have both passed the House, and I assume they'll go over to the Senate. But unless I have a misunderstanding about how they read, House Bill 335 directly talks about allowing reductions and so on by municipalities. And so I've been trying to study that a little bit so I can be a little bit better informed on how that, we do this, and whether or not we're kind of jumping the gun on it until we see what the state does, because they are talking about making these changes. And so on that House Bill 335, which was voted out and passed on October the 22nd, I just thought I'd review it. I'm used to looking at those things from many years. But I did notice that the opponent and the proponents and the interested parties, it was very interesting to see who that was. So it tells me that there's a lot more to it that needs to be looked at, and we shouldn't rush on this. Not to say we shouldn't do it. It'd be a great thing to do if we can. But I noticed that there were an opponent to the bill 335, which is already passed out of the House and going to the Senate. There were 69 entities that actually spoke against House Bill 335. A lot of them were schools. There were a lot of cities involved with that testimony too, but there were 69 different organizations, cities, and school districts that did testify against it. There were only 3 proponents who supported it and spoke, and the bill sponsor, of course, would have made 4. And there were 4 interested parties that made statements as well. So that tells me that there's a lot more to it than we realize. And I just wanted to bring that point out that concerns me a little bit for us to rush and do anything. And I'm not really sure from what I'm reading here that we have the authority to reduce it until this bill is passed. Is that the understanding that you have as well? Is there anyone in here that can answer that question? Because I don't know why they'd be passing a bill for us to have the authority to do it, or trying to pass a bill for that. So are we just getting a little ahead of ourselves with this particular piece of legislation, or not? is that a question that anyone has an answer to?
Now, the county and 16 townships, or 15 out of 16 townships, have already done it within Ross County. So I don't know of any limitation that says that we can't reduce our millage. Schools cannot reduce theirs. Theirs is a floor, but I've not seen anything that says that a municipality cannot reduce the inside millage. I think other municipalities have already done that throughout the state.
But I guess I don't understand what House Bill 335 is saying, because when you read the summary of it, it talks about it's being passed to allow a reduction of inside millage to accompany a municipal income tax levy and so on and so forth, and millage reductions to accompany county sales tax and so on and so forth. So I guess my point is that before we jump in and put this on the agenda, I think we have to do a lot more work on it. I also noticed that a similar bill, House Bill 186, about property taxes and so on, it too is making its way through the state legislature. And the House has just passed it on October the 22nd to move this over to the Senate, and they have their own plan for how to reduce the property taxes that we have. And I don't know if we're in a position or should be doing anything with it until we see what the state does with it. And I don't know if there's a deadline for doing this, and maybe someone can answer that. Maybe our city auditor can add some comments to it to give us some idea about these things. But I just want to make sure that we are making the best move, and if we're going to make a cut like this, that it does not impact our local government and cause any loss of services and so on. I'm not really sure that we have analyzed the true impact from Pixel, and I'm sure that even though we have a new company in there, my understanding is at this point there's maybe 60 employees there who are not making the same wages as they were. And all those things are going to play into how we're going to have a balanced budget this coming year. And I want to make sure that we don't find ourselves uninformed or not covering our basic services that we need to do because we made this move. So that's just my take on it. And I just wanted to add those comments. And I think that it's important to be well informed on it. So thank you.
House Bill 186 deals with school funding, not with municipality funding.
Yes, I understand that. I just said there was a similar bill in there about the increased property taxes and how the state was going to try to fix that. And that was just the secondary bill. So I understood that. I didn't mean to make it sound like that was going to have anything to do with what we did here. But it also is something that our schools are deeply concerned about. I know that I got a copy of a notice that the schools have sent out, and it looks to me like from the list across the top, and maybe Councilwoman member Payne can tell us a little bit more about that, since the Chiillicothe City Schools signed on to that letter too. But I noticed that it was from all the county schools, superintendent, treasurers, and board members, and I don't know if you've gotten it yet, but I got a copy of it myself. I'm sure that Ms. Payne has it.
I'll answer. One other question that you had was, as far as what the timeline, speaking with the county auditor, is that mid-November is kind of the date that this action has to be taken by if we're going to reduce taxes that are paid next year, because they have to turn everything into the state and get everything submitted.
For the whole year, or just the first half?
For the whole year, I believe, yes.
And what date did he give you that we had to?
Mid-November. He didn't give an exact date.
So we still have a little time to look at it.
Well, we got tonight's meeting and the next meeting. So there's not a lot of time. And I know that he has submitted numerous emails to the city over the last 5-6 months that we've not been privy to, So, we're kind of, I know you feel like it's coming last minute, but
I'm not thinking it is. It is coming last minute when we're in the middle of a budget hearing for the city in the first place, and that's why I think it's important to really look at it. And I'd really like to get some more input from the city auditor about it, rather than just from the county auditor, just to make sure that we're going to be able to pass a good budget and to be reasonable about what we do. So there definitely needs to be tax relief for property owners. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But what I don't want to see us do is find ourselves laying off important city employees or not being able to pay our bills next year either. So I just don't know what that impact is yet. And I'm sure that the public doesn't either. And so I would like to have a little more discussion about it. Thank you.
So
Jeff,
I've spent a ton of time trying to wrap my head around the property taxes and the effects of the numbers and trying to understand where the numbers are truly coming from. I mean, I went back to ordinances showing past rates, showing, I've spent a lot of time on this. And I really, truly think that there does need to be a resolution and some kind of reform to help residents. But the more I think about it and the more I learn, the more questions that come into my head that makes me think about, like, is this something that we're rushing into? My main thing is, and I talked to Creed about this on Friday, there are 2 House bills that are going to help eliminate some of that reform. I don't understand those House bills yet. There's a lot for me to learn on that. And I told Creed that on Friday, that was something that I still had to get a better understanding of to see how much effect that would have on residents, like how much of a cut that's going to be. So I think we need to get an understanding of that to see if that is going to help. Because I fully believe that we need to make our decisions and align them with what the state's going to be doing as well. So that's one thing that I think we have to look into is those 2 House bills. As I'm working through this budget, it's a very tough budget because we are going to be seeing a huge revenue loss without the street levy. That's going to be about a $1.9 million savings to the taxpayers. So there's going to be a savings there. Beginning in January 1st of 2026, our taxes are going to go from 2% down to 1.9%. That's going to be a tax saving, plus also will affect this year's budget. My main concern that I've said all along is not having the certification of the property values. And I did call the county auditor and ask for those. And he did say that those would be available by the end of November. And I'm not saying we have to wait until the end of November, but for me, seeing what the tax values are and doing a true calculation and not based on off estimates is very important. I just don't want to get to the point to where we have such a revenue loss across the board, and then we take the way we're doing it, we are thinking that there would be still an increase in property taxes, but would that decrease that we may take off of the increase cause a significant amount that we may have to make cuts in other areas? I don't know yet until I see those true numbers. So I don't know if that's something that we want to think about. I think that we definitely need to continue to work on this and that there is a resolution that we can come to. But I think that there's still some things that we really need to think about. The pixel revenue, I haven't heard, I've heard different wages that are going to come in. I've heard that they may end up making gloves and making the boxes, but that's not guaranteed. There's just a lot of things to consider. So without knowing that revenue, income tax dropping, and a variety of other things, until we get the budget done, it does make me think that we need to do a little bit more research. But I do think that we do need to continue to work on a plan to make, to help residents save.
Jeff, I just need some clarification on a couple of things. Based on what you sent out, I think I'm reading this the way it's written, but maybe not. Is this reduction based on what you provided to us? Is reduction based on tax units named Chiillicothe City, or does it include all assessed tax units, which include Paint Valley Mental Health, Pickway, Ross JVS, public libraries, the senior citizens, the Park District, Sauter Township, and the city schools?
No, this only includes City of
City of
Chiillicothe
Chiillicothe.
inside millage, which is 3.2 mils.
And that's
That's
how
what
I
those
read
numbers
it, but
are.
I needed that
Right.
clarification.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
For me, determining the number has been a little bit difficult because we don't know. For everybody, the evaluation is going to be different. For some people, they're going to see a higher tax rate than other people. I just kind of want to wait until we see like where that lands across the board for everybody. Is it going to be I don't know.
Well, I think, like you said, it could be a 0% increase for some people, and it could be a 50 or 60% increase for others, because some people were already at market value that have been paying the higher taxes, and other people were not at market value and were brought up to market value. And they're still working through the numbers. At the end of the day, it still has to get to 29% to meet the state mandate. And talking to the county auditor today, you're seeing a large increase on commercial properties that were not updated since 2007. Some of those are coming up twice what they were in value, which is an additional increase beyond the residential properties that we'll be receiving as well.
And I would just like to see those actual figures. Like, I don't want to just go make a decision based upon like, I want to see it. I want to see the numbers, the evaluations, and where the increases are coming from.
Right. I gave you the one that was a couple weeks, like 3 weeks ago, that had 36% increase on commercial and 130% on industrial, and they have gone up since then. I'll open it up for more discussion. Lisa, do you have anything?
I really feel if we can save, even if this goes through the House or whatever, a savings is a savings. We're struggling as a community. And I would like to see it myself.
I do have a question. The inside millage, how often can that be adjusted? I mean, if we adjust it now, how long do we have to wait before we can adjust it again? Let's say if the state thing goes through.
So we would be adjusting for 2025 tax year payable in 2026. So this would not affect anything beyond the 2025 tax year or beyond payments next year. So next year we would have to come back and look at it again. And if in the meantime the state does go in and make changes, then we could go back to the full millage if that's what makes sense.
And I agree with Lisa. I do think, it's a huge burden on a lot of people. So I think if we have the authority to do it and we can do it, I think we should help our citizens a little bit.
I mean, as a citizen of Chiillicothe who owns 2 properties on the East End, I've been steadily watching my property taxes go up and up and up. And then I was just having this conversation with some people last night. They're like, we're about to be ran out of our houses because we can't afford the property taxes anymore. But whatever we can do, if we, like Dan said, if we have the authority and if we can do it, then we need to do it as quick as possible.
I don't disagree that we should do it as soon as we possibly can, but I don't think we have all the facts to do it right this moment. And that's my concern, because I do think that what happens with 335 on the state level is greatly going to impact what happens here, because it is directly targeted to what municipalities and so on are doing. And I think it's on a fast track, so I don't expect it not to pass, in time for county auditors to make their adjustments. It's clear that they intend to do something about it in time for the tax bills for next year. So,
Jeff, who did you say the 15 townships?
15 out of 16 townships. The only one I understand that still has not, but it has indicated they were looking at it, was Harrison Township, and the county has already made the cuts as well.
And I think that's a huge representation of what we should do as well. John, come up to the mic.
Are property owners, and you see the property tax increases directly. There are a few of us who are renters who see indirect price increases, which may or may not be reflected in whatever rent increases that we have to pay at some point down the road. Mr. McCourt said he is a landlord, so perhaps some of you also are as well. That's one perspective that we would have, but going back to the previous committee meeting, at which I did not attend, but I watched on the live stream. Thank you for that, by the way. And I think that at no point did people mention that the reason this is a quote-unquote problem is because people's properties have increased in value according to the county auditor. That's very important to point out, because it's not the city that went out there and said, hey, let's screw up people's lives. So let's be completely honest about what caused this situation.
I totally get that, because my house that I live in went from being it was valuated at $120,000 in 2017, and then 2 years ago in 2023 they come back and said it's worth 180 now. I'm like, wow, I've done some work to the place, but I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, but you do understand, of course, that I believe it's Ohio state law requires the reassessment for those people who have not either sold or purchased the house within a few number of years. So it's not like they're also going against you for that reason. It's a requirement of the county auditor and the county assessor to do these periodic reassessments. I think that we need to point that out, because that's very important. That's where the genesis of this situation comes.
I did.
I'm not blaming them.